J-Real. J-Real.
¿Qué pasa, people? Welcome back to the Average Joe Sports Talk Show. I'm J-Real. I'm going to be with you this morning and this afternoon talking over some great sports topics. We might even have our own UFC expert, Shannon, come into the house, talk a little bit about what happened this weekend in the UFC. A lot of exciting stuff going on in sports. We're not going to waste a lot of time. We're going to get right to it. Nascar, big race just happened this weekend. Happy to say Jimmy Johnson, he's still the man. He can still win. He can still drive. He can still bring it. A lot of people doubting him. A lot of people saying that he's done, he's over. He just proved that he is still the man to beat. Real excited for him. We're not even going to mention you know whose name, but she did happen to place in the top 10. Good for her. About time. All props go out to her as well. Excited for them and their company. But the person that I'm more excited about, Dale Earnhardt Jr., finally came through, had a good top finish race. As we said in the last show, maybe this is his year. We're really excited for him and his camp. We'd like to see some more wins from him. When we come back from the break, we're going to hopefully meet up with Shannon. She's right here from New Mexico. She's watched every UFC event. She's down for it. She's into it. She lives for it. We're going to try to get her online, come in the house, and talk to us a little UFC. Before we go to break, though, I'd like to say again thanks to Right On Time Errand and Delivery Service and the Player Zone. If you want to get in contact with them, all you got to do is go to Riadosomidtown.com, click on the Merchant tab, click right on the Player Zone tab, and you can check out their webpage and get a hold of them. You can message them, leave them all kinds of feedback, whatever you want to do. We appreciate all of their support. So, let's go to break real quick. When we get back, hopefully Shannon will be with us talking UFC. Be right back. J-Real out. All right, people, we're back from the break. We're going to go ahead and go straight into UFC. This weekend, a big fight happened. We are going to go to our UFC expert from right here in New Mexico and get her take on what happened. Shannon, you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
What's going on, girl?
What was that?
What's going on?
Nothing. What's going on?
Well, we need your expertise into this UFC fight that happened this weekend. So tell us, who were the main events? Who were you checking out?
The main event was Ronda Rousey and Liz Carmouche, and that was basically the fight we were checking out. That was UFC history over the weekend.
All right. So now Ronda, everyone's got her pumped up. Everyone's talking about her. It's like Ronda Mania, I believe they're calling it, or something like that. Now, how did she actually do in the fight? Because I do recall at one point her opponent kind of got her in some trouble right off the bat, didn't she?
She did, and it was probably about 2 minutes into the first round. She did have her in a chokehold. She was on her back. They were standing. She had her on her back, and she had her in a pretty vicious chokehold, but it was on her chin. It wasn't around her neck. But she had her neck pretty tweaked out there for a minute. So yeah, she was in trouble early in the first round.
Yeah, we noticed that. Now, what happened? What progressed into that? It was pretty much after this. She just dominated, didn't she?
Yeah, pretty much right after that. Ronda kind of she rolled over and they ended up down on the ground, and she got her in that armbar, and that's like her signature move. She's won every fight with that armbar. And when she twisted Liz Carmouche's arm, it almost looked like her elbow got dislocated. It was a pretty vicious armbar.
Yeah, we noticed that as well. So now, what's going on with Ronda? Now, what's her record?
Her record is 7-0. She's undefeated. That's her MMA record. This was the first fight in the UFC, but I believe she came over from Strikeforce, but her MMA record is 7-0, and she is undefeated right now.
And she has the belt, correct?
She does. She does.
So, in your words, she's pretty tough then, right?
Yeah, she's pretty bad.
Now, who's next in line? Is there anybody even close to taking this lady out, or is she kind of the cream of the crop right now?
She, as far as like women UFC, there's only one other one, and it's Gina, and I can't think of what her last name is, but she's pretty bad too. But I believe that Ronda took the belt from her the last time that they fought. Oh,
okay. So yeah, it's going to be a while probably before someone can take her off the top of the list, and I'm sure, right?
Yeah, probably not. She's pretty bad. She's a pretty bad fighter.
All right. Well, let's move on from the women, because there's been a guy who's just been under my skin, and I know me and you've got into a lot of, debate about this guy, but Shell Shonen is fighting John Bones Jones coming up pretty soon in a big UFC event. Does this guy have a chance of beating John?
I'm going to say no. No.
Now, he's moving up in weight. He's moving up in weight to take this fight, correct?
I believe he's moving up a weight class to take this fight with John Jones, and I mean, I'm a big Shell Shonen fan, but there's no way he's going to be John Jones. None. Now,
we typically have a lot to say about Shell Shonen. He's a big mouth. He's very arrogant, very cocky. Comes across as just this big jerk. But I do have to say that he backs up what he talks. He'll fight anybody, won't he?
He'll fight anybody. And he'll take a fight at last minute notice where he hasn't even had time to train for the fight. And he is a good fighter, but as far as him taking a fight against John Jones, it's never going to happen. John Jones is undefeated. And so, and Shell Shonen does back up what he says, and is a good fighter, but there's no way he's going to be John Jones, though.
Okay, last thing, and then we're going to let you go. I know you're a busy woman. Supposedly, through the grapevine, we're hearing that Shell Shonen has kind of got rubbed the wrong way by Victor Belfort, and Victor Belfort has called him out, and now, from what we're hearing, Shell Shonen kind of has a little beef with this guy.
He does.
I'm sorry, what was that?
True.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I said that's true. There is like a beef between those two. I'm not real sure, like why or what started the whole thing, but Belfort did call him out, and there's some bitter blood between them for some reason.
All right. Well, Shannon, we thank you so much for coming in the house and talking UFC, and if you're down with it, we'd like to have you come back many more times because there's a lot of UFC going on over this next year.
Absolutely. I'm always down to talk UFC.
All right, girl. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Take it easy. Thank you.
You betcha, sister. All right, folks.
Bye-bye.
That was Shannon coming straight from here in New Mexico talking UFC. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, a lot more sports to talk about. See you soon. All right, Jay Real back from the break. Man, isn't that Shannon a smart lady? She really knows her UFC, and we're just going to wrap up real quick with UFC. We are big UFC guys here at the Average Joe Sports Talk Show. We've enjoyed UFC since the very early days. I'm talking way back when the Gracies were fighting, and they had the baggy clothes, and they were using the gi as weapons and ways to choke out their opponents. It was really amazing stuff when it first started out, way back when. Ken Shamrock, all them guys. Patrick Smith was a guy I really enjoyed. But anyway, moving on. The UFC is a real big deal here. We enjoy watching it. We're big supporters of it. We've always been big supporters. Me and my crew, we watch UFC all the time. Really actually taking over the physical fighting industries. Boxing's kind of going down. UFC's going on the up. So good job to Dana White and his boys for making UFC something good to watch. And actually pairing people that we want to see fight each other. See, boxing has kind of got into this whole, no one at the top wants to fight the other top guys. And that's just so frustrating as a fight fan because you want to see those big name fights. And Dana White has done a great job at making that happen. So props to him. Now, moving on. I'm driving into work. I'm coming into the house today, and I'm listening on the radio, and some loony guy is talking about how Michael Jordan didn't have that competition in him, that he wasn't that competitor that 99.9% of the people in the world and in sports would say is true of Michael Jordan. He was babbling on about how Michael Jordan quit in the prime of his career to go play baseball, and that he didn't have a true competitor spirit like Kobe Bryant, that Kobe Bryant actually had the true competitor spirit. And I have to say, this loony guy is loony. That is insane. That is crazy. Do you not forget that the man's father had just been murdered? The man that raised him, the man that inspired him, that got him to where he was at that platform and in that height of his career was murdered. The man didn't just die of natural causes. We got to give this guy some understanding here. So as the man's father passed on, he felt like that chapter of his life, what else does he have to prove? So then he moved on to something else, to conquer something else. That competitor spirit went on to something else to see if he could conquer that. Had nothing to do with that he quit and that he just gave up in the prime of his career because he didn't have that competitor nature in him, and so he just quit and left to go to baseball. Looney, you are loony. That guy, I wanted to go through the stereo and strangle the guy. That just made no sense whatsoever. But here at the Average Joe Sports Talk Show, you know, we're real. We're going to say what's real and what's not, and that's bullcrap. All right. Anyway, Michael Jordan, we love you. Keep doing what you're doing. Kobe, you're great. LeBron, all those guys are great. But let's not hear that Michael Jordan didn't have a true competitor's nature and didn't have that assassin's mentality when it came to the basketball court. He was an assassin. That's it, exactly. He was an assassin. All right, that was just my little moment of going off what I heard this morning. And loony, you're loony. Anyway, all right, moving on. Manti Te'o. This poor guy, this poor kid. He's 21, 22 years old, and he has been getting hung out to dry for over a couple of months now over this case of his alleged girlfriend that didn't exist, that wasn't a real person. So I haven't touched it yet. It's been old news, but guess what just happened this weekend, folks? The Combine. That's right. NFL Combine happened, so he is right back in the spotlight. So, Manti Te'o. We have to look at his story. And I've watched it. I sat down, I saw his interviews, I saw his intimate interview, and I have to say that I could understand some of the, if not most of the facts that he talked about. Now, for someone to say that they cannot believe that any of this stuff can happen, please folks, just look in your past. Look back when you were 20, 21 years old and the stupid stuff that we went through with the opposite sex, whether you're female dealing with males or males dealing with females. It happens. We get suckered all the time. And let's not even forget the adults that are in business every day that get suckered out of thousands upon thousands of dollars by scams. So is it possible that this young man got scammed? I'm going to say, personally, yes. Leave the kid alone. Has nothing to do with his football. And I don't even know why people made such a big deal of it. Anyway, it's his personal life. He even has gone on record saying that it did not affect the championship game, which he played horrible. He did. He did not show up for that game. But he himself has not used that as an excuse or as a crutch. So let's give the guy some credit. All you folks out there that are all high and mighty, throwing those stones, come on. He's a 21-year-old kid. He made a mistake. And I'm sure from now on he's learned from that mistake. So here in the house, the crew of the Average Joe Sports Show just say, get off the kid's back and let's let him play some ball. If he doesn't do it on the field playing ball, then let's start throwing stones. Let's start criticizing. But not for his personal life, but for the way he plays the game. That should be the key here, how he plays the game. Now, this morning, on the wire, here comes, well, everyone's going to want to know if the kid's gay. Really? Let's just move on and leave this kid alone. If he can play ball, great. If he can't, then guess what? He'll be a fly-by-night guy. His name will be forgotten in the next 2-3 years, and that'll be that. But if the kid can ball, let's focus on him playing ball. All right, moving on from that. This Oscar Pistorius case that we've been kind of touching on over the last week or two, there's been information leaking out of from his lawyer department or through his camp whatever you want to call it, that he's considering on going back to training for the Olympics or the Summer Games, or things that are coming up. All I have to say to this guy, if this is true, which this is not proven fact, so this could just be all a bunch of bull, if you did not do what you're saying you did, then you still can't go practice. You still can't be out there. This is such a tragic event. This is such a tragedy that I can't see a guy, even if he is innocent, just being able to move on after such a tragic thing happen. It's very difficult to see someone preparing and practicing for a game or for a sport when you just took a life, whether it's accident or intentional murder, whatever. We don't know all the facts yet. I just can't see someone moving on from that and just being able to act like it didn't happen, whether it was accident or not. So we're just going to say we hope that he does not continue with his regimen or his plans to continue training. Focus on and mourn the fact that a life was lost here, and deal with that first. We hope that that's the case. We don't want to go too much into that, but we hope that that story is not true, that he's not planning on continuing training. Now, Alex Smith, some NFL. This guy got to go. He cannot stay in San Francisco. First of all, they screw him over last year by taking him his starting job away because he had a concussion. So that's one slash right there for him. Then, when his backup, Kaepernick, started, like, I don't want to say slowing down, but wasn't the high and almighty quarterback that he was the first few games, they didn't even give him an opportunity to try to come back. They just basically said, you're not our guy. So there's two. And then on top of that, the third strike for the 49ers is they make it to the Super Bowl, and this guy doesn't even get a taste of field. A guy that has been there for years, grinding it out, trying to become better, showing to this team that, hey, I'm going to put myself out there, I'm going to learn, I'm going to grow at this position, I'm going to be your leader, your go-to guy. And what do? They make it to the Super Bowl, and the guy doesn't even get a taste of throw. Doesn't even get a tackle on the field, nothing. You want to stick it with this team? I wouldn't. Where can he go? Where can Alex Smith go? You are more than welcome to leave comments and feedback. Let us know what you think. Where should he go? Where should he end up? We personally, me and the crew, we think he's going to end up in Kansas City. That's our big idea for him. Why not? Go to Kansas City. They need a quarterback. You might even get some decent money. Who knows? But that's what we say. Alex Smith, take a trade, go to Kansas City. Make yourself a superstar there. Make yourself some money. Then go back to San Francisco and shove that ball right up there. You know what? All right? All right, moving on from that. We're going to take a really quick break. But when we come back, we'll be doing a wrap-up. And then we might even get a chance to get a little story in from Jay Real. We'll see you soon. All right, Jay Real back in the house here at the Average Joe Sports Talk Show. Now, we have a very big guest coming in studio, hopefully, and if not in the studio, we will go to them, whatever it takes to get this interview done. We have the mayor of Ruidoso, New Mexico. He was a former coach in the NCAA football, and we are going to be really excited to get with him and touch base with him a little bit, feel this NCAA story out, see if he has any feedback on how it used to be back in the day compared to now, because right now we are having a lot of issues with the NCAA and the way that they're dealing with the football squads there. So we're really interested in having him come in and talk to us. That might be on Friday's show. We're really going to work on that. I'm going to have the producers and our designers get out there and get on the phones, really make this happen so we can have this really good show on Friday. Now, to wrap up, last show I did a little story about how someone backed into my vehicle. Well, I also have a new story that I'm going to share with you all right now as we wrap up. Now, again, this could just be things that happen to me. I'm just throwing this out there and asking. Have you ever been just totally parched? You know, your mouth is dry, your lips are dry, you just wanted something totally good to drink, and so you're just ready for a nice ice-cold beverage. So you go into your local convenience store, and you don't get one of those little 16 ounces. You get the 44, the Big Gulp 44, the freaking gladiator drink, right? So you fill in that ice, it's nice and crushed, you put your favorite beverage in it, you go to the counter, you're already thinking, this is going to be the most delicious liquid I've ever tasted in my life. But you haven't even had a chance to sip it yet because you just got things on your mind, you want to pay, get your gas, whatever, and hit the road. So you make your payment, you do all you got to do, and now you're walking to your vehicle. You're walking out to your gas pump. You're all excited. You take that gladiator, Big Gulp, whatever you want to call it, and your mind, this is the crazy part. If this has happened to you, let us know, because your mind is already tasting and familiar with what you purchased, whether it be Coke, Pepsi, Sprite, whatever. Your mind has already told you that this is going to taste like the most incredible drink you've ever had in your life. So what do? You take that big old 44 honcho drink and you just rip it. Your mind is telling you you want half of that thing gone before you're done with that first gulp of soda. So you're just going at it. And then all of a sudden, something registers really wrong. Not only is it not what you purchased, but have you ever got it where it doesn't have the syrup? Like the machine has, the box back there is probably weighs like not even a pound because there's not a drop of syrup pumping through that the hose to get into the drink. So what you're really drinking is straight carbonated crap. It is the most mind-blowing trick on somebody on the planet because you're ready to taste this wonderful, syrupy, sweet, bubbly liquid that's just amazing. And instead you get this, I can't even explain. Maybe if you took baking soda and some salt and maybe some chalk and mixed it with some ice and water, and then maybe that's what it tastes like. All I know, folks, is it ruins your whole day. It really does. At least it does for me. Now, if that hasn't happened to you, you're lucky, because it's happened to me more than on one occasion, and it ruins your whole day. First of all, you're gagging out in the parking lot like you're some crazy person, and you're throwing down this huge monster drink that floods the parking lot. So that could just be me. Let us know if that's ever happened to you, because we're interested to know. Right. Before we head out, I would just like to say thank you so much, Shannon, for coming in and giving us the breakdown of UFC. You're a smart lady. Hope the fans enjoyed hearing all the takes you had, giving us those good cuts on UFC. And we have to thank the Player Zone and Right On Time Errand and Delivery Service for hooking us up with the house here and all this cool stuff. Again, Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, comic books, sports cards, autographs and collectibles. I mean, they got everything. Autographs. Look at this. This is a 1985 autographed baseball by the LA Dodgers. Everybody. Fernando Valenzuela's on that, too. That's awesome. You got a 1950s ball that hasn't even been out of the box. I mean, just amazing stuff. These guys have all your needs when it comes to sports or gaming. Hey, I'm starting to be a nerd myself. I'll start playing these card games myself. They're such a good company. And then, of course, Right On Time Errand and Delivery Service. So thank you, Shannon. Thank you all for watching. And until next time, we'll see you soon. J Real out.
J Real.